Hello, Internet. Uh, so what are values and why should you know yours? Well, I'm going to tell you about that, but first let me welcome you to the Empirical Sword. I'm Lord Master DLC 79, and I happen to believe that school doesn't teach. We have to be the masters of our education, at least until we can reform the school system to properly prepare people for life, because right now it's not doing that, and people are giving up, and they're just walking away from the whole education thing. But, more on that later. Values. What are they? Why should you know yours? I need to autofocus. Oh, camera problems, but we don't edit. Anyway, values. What are they and why should you know yours? Well, what are they is fairly easy. The easiest but not too descriptive way of talking about values or defining values is a value is something that is important to you. I know, right? That doesn't tell me anything. It's essentially, it is just that. It's a thing that is important to you. If veganism is important to you, then you value veganism. It's as simple as that. And technically, we could come up with millions, even billions of values. But I think for self-discovery, we should start simple with a very short list. And about the simplest and most direct way of evaluating your values that I've come across so far is like the 4 M's. And I don't even know if that's like the official name of the system, but they're just like 4 values, and they all have an M word associated with them, but they're It's like they're not the word. The words don't exactly have the right meaning, and I get caught up in the meanings and whatnot. And so I'll just give you like my words for them, and they're still just 4, and it's the exact same 4, just different words, not M words, unfortunately, but and just as an example, I'll go down the line with my values. Number 1, like at the very top of the ladder, which is like way up there, freedom. I tend to talk about that, or I'm trying to talk about that more in my videos of late. But I mean, freedom not in a patriotic sense, which, in my opinion, the patriotic interpretation of freedom doesn't really have a meaning. It's just a buzzword to rally people around a flag. I mean, the forefathers, they had a specific meaning when they said freedom, but over centuries of mindlessly repeating word rituals like the Pledge of Allegiance and whatnot, which we can thank the school system for, just mindlessly say these words and don't even focus on what they're supposed to mean. We don't know the meanings of them. So we know the words, but we don't know what they mean. But and historians might disagree with what I'm about to say, but in my opinion, the forefathers actually intended freedom to be interpreted the way I am interpreting it, as like personal freedom, the freedom to have your own thoughts and opinions without having other people influence you, the ability to make your own judgments and decisions without having other people you steer you in one direction or another. This is actually why, see, by now the video where I'm like, advertising sucks, this is why I think advertising sucks. It's a bunch of it's a bunch of corporate marketers and salespeople trying to convince you that you want something even if you don't want it. They're trying to manipulate your own decision-making process, which I think should be your decision-making process, and not hijacked by someone else, just showing you flashy images and getting you excited. or making you want food. But you're steering away from that. I mean, I already have a video on that, so I don't need to talk about that. But yeah, this is my number one value is the freedom to make my own choices, to think my own thoughts, to come to my own conclusions, to analyze situations the way I want to analyze them, and just to make my own decisions in life. And it's in my opinion, a lot of people don't have this. I mean, one, the school system doesn't really teach. They don't really teach freedom like this, and they don't do anything to teach you how to go about achieving your freedom. And I'm still learning because I'm a product of the exact same school system. But anyway, back on track. The whole school system is like, you just show up and follow these instructions and you'll be fine. Except you're not really fine, because I mean, that's not freedom, because you're just following other people's instructions. And yes, we kind of need that, some of that in society, for society to actually work. But I mean, it's like the school system tells you that follow these steps and you'll be fine, except that doesn't always lead to fine. A lot of times it leads to people being chained to jobs they don't like, as I like to call it. And yes, I've been in that situation myself. And well, currently I'm not in that situation because my job ended. But by the time this video is up on YouTube, I'll probably have another job. Hopefully, I have another job. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. I don't know. That's future me. I'm past me. Anyway, in my opinion, a lot of people don't have the amount of freedom that I think they should have. And part of what I'm trying to do here is to kind of bring the enlightenment of how to pursue this level of freedom, because I think it's something that everybody should have, even though a lot of people probably don't value it as much as I do. Which brings me back around to the main topic of the video, the values. That was number one on my list. Number two and number three, I'll just do them together, because I don't know which is higher, really. So for one, we have expertise. You're learning and getting better at things, knowing more, having more knowledge, and expanding your skill sets and whatnot. And then over here we have relationships, and not just the romantic stuff, the friendships and the family and the stuff like that. For me, I don't know which one is higher. They tend to flip-flop. And already I can point out where it's important to know your values, and particularly someone else's values, because let's just say that for me, relationships is number three on the list. If I were having to work with someone who has relationships as number one, their number one priority with every decision they make is, how is this going to affect their relationships with other people? My number one priority, on the other hand, is going to be, how does this allow me to do things my way, to pursue my own freedom? And see, relationship person, they'll see the way that I do things and think, oh, well, that person's like very selfish and self-centered and motivated by their own whims, which may or may not be true. I mean, it's perception, and we could argue that perception is a reality for that individual person. But it's like neither one is right or wrong. They're just different modes of operating, and we could wind up in this situation where your values make you want to go this way, but someone else's values makes them want to go that way, and it's a tug of war. You know, this is one of the reasons why you should know your values, and particularly someone else's values, because if their values are different from yours, there's likely to be some sort of friction, pulling back and forth. And I know I said that there are 4 M's, or 4 key values, and I've only gone over 3. Number 4, you know how freedom is like at the very top of the ladder? Well, let's go all the way down the ladder, down to the ground, start digging a hole straight down, and right around below sea level, we get to money. That's how much I value money, is not a lot, if at all. And a lot of people will be like, "Oh, well, that's actually good that you don't value." Well, keep in mind that modern society runs on money. We need to live on money because that's the world we built for whatever reason. So not valuing money enough can cause certain difficulties in certain areas. And then there's the fact that I am just now beginning to realize that my issues with money and not valuing it are actually impairing my ability to do what I want and to learn what I want. So that's actually a conflict with number 1 and number 2. One of my values, or lack thereof, is conflicting with 2 of the others. So I'm having to actively reframe how I'm thinking about money. We have this old saying, money is power. Well, I'm having to think of it as money is freedom. I believe in another, actually I believe this was last week's video, where I spoke of a friend who just suddenly informed me she's in Italy for 2 weeks, and it got me to thinking about how every now and then, I'm on a lot of people's email lists because they email out little information snippets and links to certain online courses that they're running. And every now and then they'll send out an email that, hey, I'm doing a speaking event in New York or LA or whatever on this day. And in last week's video, I pointed out that, well, I have to work that day, so I can't go. Well, the other issue is I don't have the money to go. Also, I have to work that day is more centered on I have to go to work so I can get money to just do regular life stuff. Now, if I were pursuing money more fervently, as if I valued it more, I would have more to actually go and just up and do what I want, go to a speaking event, buy this online course, learn more. So I'm having to think of money equals freedom and money equals learning potential, so that it fits in more with my number 1 and my number 2, rather than the way down here below sea level of it's just money, as long as I have enough. No, I need to be feeling the number 1 and the number 2, the freedom and the expertise. Wow, this video is 15 minutes long. I need to cut that down. Probably need to cut that out as well. Anyway, I've been rambling on. Don't clap on camera. Anyway, I've been rambling on for quite some time. I think I have a lot of editing to do. But yeah, the main points: values, the 4 M's. The freedom, which I don't use the M words because they don't really make sense to me. But the freedom, the expertise, the relationships, the money, and know those, and know them for you, because your value list is probably not ordered the same way as mine. Maybe you value money more than I do, which is fine. You probably have more money than I do. Just whatever your number one and maybe your number two happen to be, those are going to be like the fuel, the motivation for whatever you do. Like for me, the freedom. It's always the pursuit of being able to do whatever I want and not be bored, which I don't want to do. And of course, the learning. I mean, I'm an INTJ. I mean, of course. But maybe you value relationships more than I do. You probably stay in touch with more people than I do. But whenever your values conflict with whoever you're working with or whoever you're talking to, you can actually agree on the logical principles, but you may disagree on the how to execute the principles. But those are the big takeaways right there. Know your values, know your value list, and be aware of how your values can conflict with other people and your own values. Like if you value money as little as I do, just be careful. Find some way to trick your mind into thinking of money as something different, something that you value more. Anyway, those are the big takeaways right there. Remember, the whole purpose of the whole school doesn't teach thing is to give people the things that school is not teaching, like this, but should be. And that's all motivated by how much I value freedom, because this is you're changing your mind, you're changing your mindset with this information. This is like the key to freedom right here, or personal freedom. And that's what we're all about right here on the Empirical Sword and on this playlist. And if you want to see more of that, or see, I'm trying to get this in front of gamers because I believe a lot of gamers are in a situation of not being entirely happy with their lives. And I think a lot of it has to do with how the school system's failed them. And I want to get this in front of gamers, so I do a lot of gaming content as well, and use that as a means to getting people over onto this playlist. So that's what's going on right here. And if you're all for that, subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can be notified when I drop videos like this. I need to keep remembering to tell people to subscribe and bell icon. I've forgotten that in a few videos today. But whatever you're watching next, I will see you then.